Hello guys, today I'll be reviewing Transit of Venus, and this is the last album, of course, with Adam Gontier, and this album you can tell they experimented a bit more with this album, and such as with electronics, and I still remember the experience of when this album was coming out, and Chalk Outline being the first single and stuff like that, and I remember being super pumped for this album when it was coming out, but anyways, let's go ahead and dive into the album. The album starts off with Sign of the Times, and for like the first half of the song or so, musically it starts off fairly somber and calm, along with, of course, Adam's vocals, and eventually you get some guitar that comes in, and the guitar has some nice grit slash punch to them in the second half of the song, and overall, kind of a unique song on the album, and an interesting choice for an album opener. Then we get to Chalk Outline, which was the first single, and this song to me has a good balance of the electronics that they were experimenting with in this album, a good balance of the electronics and the guitar in this song, and has the hookiness slash catchiness of their early work in the song too, and it's definitely a highlight on the album for me, and it still holds up for me today too. Again, definitely a highlight on the album, and I also really like the solo too. I wish it was maybe a bit longer, but either way, a solid solo, but all around I think it's a great song. But then we get to The High Road, which just further proves how great 3 Days Grace can be with melody. The way they incorporate melody, the way they use it in their songs. This song is a good example of how well they can use melody, and that chorus, maybe one of the best choruses they've done, maybe with Adam. It's just all around a great song and another highlight on the album for me. And you can tell from at least from what I've seen, it's kind of a fan favorite, and I can definitely see why. It's definitely a great song, and again, a highlight on the album. But then we get to Operate, and the song kind of different. I mean, not like different enough to the point where it sounds nothing like the rest of the album, but different enough that I'd say it could stand on its own. Kind of a cool song. Not one of my personal favorites on the album. Not much to say about it, but I do like it though. But then we get to Anonymous, and musically at times the song kind of reminds me of the last album a little bit musically, and I do really like the chorus too. Kind of an underrated song. I do like this one. But then we get to Misery Loves Company, and this is another highlight on the album for me personally. If you're a fan of their earlier work, then you'll probably like this song. This song definitely has the catchiness of their previous albums, especially that chorus. The chorus is really catchy, and it's also memorable too. But yeah, this song, another highlight on the album. Then we get to Give In To Me, which is a Michael Jackson cover, and yes, I have heard the original, and the original is great. But yeah, this cover, I do like this cover, and out of all the Michael Jackson songs to choose from, I think this song was not a bad choice for them to cover. But yeah, I've always liked this cover. I don't know if it's one of my favorites on the album, but either way, I do think it's a solid cover overall. And you can also really feel the emotion from Adam as he's delivering the lyrics, such as in the chorus. But then we get to the song Happiness, and the song this is another song on the album for me that is kind of one of those things where if you like the earlier work, then you'll probably like this one. But yeah, it definitely has the catchiness of their earlier stuff, and it's a fairly upbeat song too. And I also really like the chorus. But then we get to Give Me a Reason, and musically at times, it's fairly slow, dark, and musically, and the emotion really comes in the song from Adam. And I believe Adam said in an interview that this is to him it's the most personal song on the album. If I remember correctly, I believe this song is about rough family life. I could be thinking of a different song, but I'm pretty sure it's this one. But Give Me a Reason, this is a song that's actually grown on me over time. When the album came out, it was never really one of my favorites. I thought it was only just okay, but I'd say over time I grew to like it a lot more. But then we get to Time That Remains, which, to be honest, probably my least favorite on the album. for what it is, I do like it. It's just, again, it's a song that doesn't really grab me as much as other songs on the album. But then we get to Expectations, which I think is one of the most underrated songs by far. Lyrically, it sounds like it could be about realizing that someone is not who you think they are. I could be totally wrong about the lyrics, but feel free to let me know your thoughts on the lyrics in the comment section below. But that's what I kind of take away from the lyrics. But again, I could be totally wrong. But Expectations, kind of a shorter song, but musically I've always really liked it, especially the chorus. And it's one of those choruses that's definitely catchy enough to get in your head, maybe. Fairly straightforward, fairly straight to the point, nothing too complicated. But yeah, I've always really liked this one, and not many people talk about it, but it's one of my personal favorites on the album. Then we get to Broken Glass, and this is another song on the album that I've actually grown to like more over time, kind of like with Give Me a Reason. But then we get to the album closer, Unbreakable Heart, and I read in an interview that this is actually one of Adam's favorites on the album. And this song, not one of my personal favorites, but I do like it. I would say that I like it more now compared to when the album came out. The verses are just only okay to me, but I do really like the chorus though. But yeah, not much to say about this one. Not the strongest album closer, but either way, I do think it's a decent album closer overall. Not a bad choice either. But if I had to rate this album, I'd probably give it, well, yeah, either a 7.8 or an 8 out of 10. Not their best album, but I wouldn't say that it's their weakest either. It's maybe more towards the middle for me, maybe somewhere in there, but either way, I do applaud them for experimenting more on this album, and I'd say most of the time, I think the experimentation worked. They didn't go overboard, because there are some bands that have tried to experiment before and just failed and just took it too far, but with this album, again, they tried to experiment, and I think mostly it worked. But anyways, my rating again is 7.8 or an 8 out of 10. I'll go for an 8. I think the album is pretty good, and again, not their weakest either, probably towards the middle. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on the album. Do you love it? Do you hate it? How does it compare to their other albums for you personally? Do you think the experimentation on this album works, and all the good stuff? But anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a comment and like, subscribe. Have a nice day, and take care.